Welcome, seekers of the truth, to the Magical Services channel. So, this is going to be a most supreme love horoscope for the general collective about the week that is between Monday, July 27th through August 2nd. That'll be Sunday of this year of 2026. So, from Monday through Sunday. So, this week brings a major turning point in the collective relational field. The emotional atmosphere begins with the moon waxing through Capricorn toward a full moon in Aquarius. And that reaches nearly 100% illumination around July 29th to the 30th, and then moves into a waning phase through Pisces. Love therefore progresses from serious evaluation to emotional revelation to integration. What has been tolerated, concealed, or merely assumed in relationships becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. The opening Capricorn moon sets a sober tone. Romance is not primarily about fantasy this week. It is about reliability, effort, maturity, and whether someone's behavior supports what they claim to feel. Emotional security increasingly depends upon consistency. If a relationship has genuine foundations, this energy can strengthen commitment. If it has been surviving on promises without corresponding action, the deficiencies become obvious. At the same time, Venus in Virgo moves from approximately 18.49 degrees to 25 degrees Virgo. This is one of the week's most important relationship signatures. Venus in Virgo expresses love through attentiveness, practical support, loyalty, helpfulness, and the willingness to improve what matters. Grand declarations are less persuasive than someone's remembering the details, showing up when needed, and making an actual effort. This can be an excellent time for repairing relationship problems because Venus in Virgo wants to identify what is not working and correct it. Couples may become more willing to discuss routines, expectations, boundaries, responsibilities, and the practical conditions required for intimacy to flourish. Its shadow is criticism. Love can become an inspection process in which every imperfection is noticed. There's a difference between improving a relationship and constantly evaluating whether it is good enough. Do not mistake perfectionism for discernment. Mercury in Cancer moves from about 16.48 degrees to 20.22 degrees Cancer across the week, keeping communication emotionally oriented. Conversations may revolve around emotional safety, family, memories, belonging, and the need to feel cared for. But Mercury's relationship with Saturn in Aries introduces seriousness and restraint. Difficult subjects may be harder to discuss casually. Someone may hesitate before revealing what they really feel, or an emotionally important conversation may expose a responsibility that neither person can simply avoid. The productive expression is mature honesty. Say what you actually need to say, but also be prepared to hear what the other person actually needs to say. So say what you need and hear what the other person also needs. This is not the week for using silence as punishment or emotional sensitivity as a substitute for direct communication. The strongest romantic expansion comes from the Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Leo. The Sun advances from roughly 4 degrees to 10 degrees Leo, while Jupiter moves through 6 to 7 degrees Leo, with their conjunction extremely close around July 29th to the 30th, around full moon in Aquarius, in fact. So this magnifies warmth, generosity, attraction, confidence, affection, romantic optimism, and the desire to experience love more fully. For couples, this can encourage greater generosity and renewed enthusiasm. For singles, it can increase visibility and confidence, making it easier to attract attention or pursue someone boldly. It can also bring a relationship into a larger phase, more openness, greater commitment, or a desire to create something meaningful together. But Jupiter amplifies everything. Romantic optimism can become idealization. Attraction can become exaggeration. Someone may assume that intensity automatically means compatibility. The question is therefore not simply how strongly do I feel, but does reality support what I feel? That question becomes particularly important because the Leo conjunction opposes retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto introduces intensity, psychological depth, power dynamics, obsession, control, and transformation. The relationship field may therefore contain an unusual mixture of romantic expansion and emotional extremity. A connection can feel enormously significant while simultaneously exposing issues around control, jealousy, dependency, attention, or personal sovereignty. The healthiest expression is not to suppress intensity, but to understand what it reveals. The Aquarius full moon is a week's central relationship climax. Around July 29th to the 30th, the moon reaches Aquarius while illumination reaches essentially 100%. The full moon brings emotional matters to culmination, but Aquarius insists upon something very specific. Love must leave room for individuality. This is the axis between Leo's desire to be loved personally and Aquarius' need for freedom, equality, friendship, and authenticity. A relationship cannot remain healthy if one person must continually perform a role to receive affection. For couples, this can reveal whether the relationship has enough freedom and mutual respect. For singles, it can clarify whether attraction is based on genuine compatibility or simply wanting to be chosen. The full moon can therefore produce a decisive emotional realization. Love should not require the abandonment of individuality. The nodal axis makes this realization even more consequential. The true north node moves from approximately 0 degrees Pisces backward toward 29.48 degrees Aquarius, while the south node moves from 0 degrees Virgo toward 29.48 degrees Leo. The nodes reach an almost exact station around July 31st before reversing their apparent direction. This is a major relationship threshold. The South Node's retreat through late Leo highlights old patterns involving ego validation, the need to feel special, romantic performance, pride, or the expectation that love should constantly reassure personal importance. The North Node's movement into late Aquarius emphasizes friendship, equality, intellectual compatibility, freedom, community, and relationships capable of accommodating two complete individuals. The lesson is not to become emotionally detached. It is to stop confusing possession with intimacy and validation with love. Then comes one of the most dramatic movements in the entire dataset. Black Moon Lilith advances from approximately 20.34 degrees Sagittarius at the week's beginning to 28.48 degrees Sagittarius on July 31st, crosses into Capricorn, and reaches approximately 8.12 degrees Capricorn by August 2nd. This is a profound shift in the relationship theme. Lilith in Sagittarius initially challenges restriction around freedom, honesty, sexuality, beliefs, adventure, and the right to speak uncomfortable truths. Opposing Mars in Gemini, it can produce provocative conversations, arguments over principles, flirtation, intellectual sexual tension, or a refusal to censor desires merely to preserve peace. As Lilith crosses into Capricorn, the issue becomes more concrete. Commitment, control, responsibility, status, expectations, and the structures imposed upon relationships. The question changes from can I say what I really want to can I live according to what I really want without surrendering my autonomy? This transition is especially important because Venus in Virgo simultaneously emphasizes standards and practical relationship behavior. Authenticity cannot simply mean doing whatever one wants. The mature expression is to build relationships that are both honest and sustainable. Mars in Gemini continues advancing through 23 degrees Gemini while Uranus remains around 5 degrees Gemini. This keeps the relationship field mentally active and unpredictable. Communication can become faster, more provocative, and more stimulating. New people can appear through conversations, networks, technology, social platforms, or unexpected circumstances. Existing relationships may need more intellectual stimulation to reach to remain engaging. But Mars in Gemini can also produce arguments that escalate because everyone wants the final word. Uranus adds unpredictability. Do not turn every disagreement into a referendum on the entire relationship. After the full moon, the moon moves through Pisces and illumination declines toward roughly 85% by August 2nd. The emotional atmosphere softens. What was revealed during the full moon now requires compassion and integration. Pisces favors forgiveness, emotional permeability, imagination, spiritual connection, and surrendering the need to control every outcome. But its shadow is idealization. After an intense revelation, do not immediately turn the relationship into either a perfect fantasy or an irredeemable disaster. Let reality settle. The week's changing house placements reinforces progression as the ascendant moves through Taurus, Gemini, Libra, Scorpio, and beyond. Venus, Mars, and the Moon, the nodes, and Lilith repeatedly change houses. This is why the week's relationship story is better understood as a moving sequence of emotional and relational emphasis rather than one static house interpretation. The overall message is powerful. Love is being asked to become more honest, more mature, more liberating at the same time. Venus in Virgo asks for demonstrable care. Mercury in Cancer asks for emotional honesty. Sun-Jupiter conjunction asks for greater warmth and generosity, wholeheartedly. Pluto demands psychological truth. The Aquarius full moon demands individuality. The nodes redirect relationship development away from validation and toward equality. Lilith first demands freedom of expression and then challenges restrictive structures around commitment. The deepest lesson is therefore not simply quote unquote find love. It is a form of love that does not require you to become smaller in order to keep it. For couples, this is an excellent week to identify what genuinely works, repair what can be repaired, and renegotiate structures that have become restrictive. For singles, it is a powerful period for recognizing the difference between chemistry and compatibility, attention and affection, intensity and intimacy. By the end of the week, the strongest relationships will be those capable of holding two truths simultaneously. Love needs commitment and love needs freedom. The relationship that survives that paradox is the relationship with the real potential. So that is what I have for you today, Collective. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like this video or comment this video or share this video or hype this video or subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, or let your friends and acquaintances who would benefit from this channel also know about it. All those acts would be great and greatly appreciated. Now, there's a magical service being offered in the description box. Feel free to check it out. It could be very useful. This is a magical channel after all. And beyond that, I thank you so much for being here and being part of our network, being part of our circle, being part of our tribe, and supporting our channel. And until the next time, blessings.